So after the bombshell ending of Season 1, Kimmie stepping into full boss mode, Horus is over the moon about finally sticking it to his family. But Kimmie? She's not exactly popping champagne. She knows Horus's father's will protects her, sure, but her sister and Rain? Yeah, they're basically open season for the Bellaries, who can come for them whenever they please. What she really needs right now is a will that locks her people in, Rain, Angel, and Sis untouchable. Outside, the whole family is scrambling to figure out what just happened, everyone pointing fingers at Varney. Even though, funny enough, he did figure it out at the last minute, told Charles, and Charles told the rest. Too little too late. And then, awkward alert. Kimmie steps out of Horus's hospital room to grab Alex, that cop who used to run with Jules but seems a little too loyal to Horus and Varney. She wants that will done yesterday. The Bellaries immediately swarm her, but Rain is quick to clap back. Kimmie doesn't waste time putting Jules in check either, reminding him she's Mrs. Bellarie now, and that means he works for her. Period. She's gotta get Jules to work at that club, ASAP. Mallory, of course, is putting on her fake nice face, while Charles actually seems kind of impressed. Like, oh, this girl really holding her own against the family. The plan is split. While Horus works on clearing Kimmie's name with that dead body in her car, Kimmie is supposed to go home with Rain and Sis. Only problem, they don't know Angel's sitting in a cell right now. Mallory is doing what Mallory does best, starting drama. She goes off on Roy, accusing both him and his dad of sleeping with Kimmie. Roy fires back with his own wrong-headed idea that Mallory's secretly messing with Varney. So they're in their toxic little love spat, while Varney is busy actually figuring out the family's next move. And his big news? Horus isn't playing games. He's not just protecting Kimmie, he's sliding Rain, Angel, and Sis into the will too. Legally, the family can't touch the marriage. Horus covered every loophole, passed every test, and on top of that, he diluted everyone's shares by 10%. Basically, he cut each person's percentage of ownership. So if you owned, say, 30% of the family pie, now you only own 20%. That pie just got smaller, and nobody's happy. Roy, of course, blows up on Jules about it, but dangle another club girl in his face, and suddenly he's calm again. Typical. Varney's attempts to get Charles to take this seriously fail miserably, as Charles just wants to party and hook up. Varney eventually gives in, and afterward he awkwardly confesses his love for Charles. Only Charles isn't trying to hear that anymore. He's tired of the mixed signals. Varney wants him behind closed doors but won't claim him in public. Charles calls the bluff, and Varney storms off salty. But the gag? He walks in on Roy, which at least clears one thing up. Varney and Mallory are definitely not sneaking around. The big final moment is Kimmie arriving at the Bellaries' mansion with Rain and her sister, all excited, only to find out that the entire family lives there. Her enemies are literally her new housemates. How is she going to navigate this new, very cramped and dangerous living situation? It's gonna be a wild ride. Kimmie is still getting used to her new reality as Mrs. Bellarie. The butler and staff give her the full tour, but she still can't wrap her head around the fact that this is her life now. Rain and Sylvie, though, they're already sold. And just like that, Kimmie's got a black card in her hand. You know what that means? Shopping spree. Because when she eventually steps into the Beauty and Black company as Mrs. Bellarie, she's got to make a statement. Then comes the kicker. She's got a shiny new account with over $3 million sitting pretty, free to do whatever she pleases. Where can I see my Mr. Bellarie? Rain, being Rain, immediately suggests draining the whole account, which would probably crash the bank system. But Kimmie says no, she's got a better plan. She opens fresh accounts for Rain and Sylvie, drops $500,000 in each. That's sister goals right there. Rain and I both got misty-eyed. While Kimmie is making boss moves, Varney is trying to wriggle his way out of Roy catching him leaving Charles's place. He spins some weak story about talking business and it getting hot, which explains his open shirt. Roy's not buying it, and when Varney heads to his car, he finds his tires slashed. Roy steps out grinning like a villain, basically telling him, I own you now. If Varney wants his secret safe, he's gotta play ball. I don't really get why Varney is so hellbent on keeping being gay a secret. Maybe because most of the Bellaries are homophobic hypocrites. Either way, sorry to the guy, because now he has to do Roy's bidding. Roy wastes no time running to Mallory. She pretends not to care, but now she knows why Varney turned down her advances. And if we know anything, it's that Mallory is the sharpest knife in this shady drawer. She immediately starts digging into Kimmie. First discovery. Roy swapped out her driver and kicked Calvin to the curb, but something tells me Calvin's not gone for good. Then she digs deeper and learns from a club worker about Kimmie's connection to Jules and his pimp antics. What Mallory plans to do with this tea, we'll just have to wait. At the same time, Horus is working to clear Kimmie's name from that dead body in her car. Turns out, the victim was Daniel Lakeland's father-in-law, a dangerous man, but still not as ruthless as Horus. Horus simply warns Daniel that his new wife is off limits, case closed. But Daniel still wants someone to pay for what happened to his family. That's when Harold pipes up, saying they already arrested a guy near the car. Horus, not realizing it's Angel, agrees to make the poor man the scapegoat. By the time he figures out Harold was talking about Angel, it's too late. The guy is released from prison, only to be gunned down in the street. Rain, on her end, is touched by Kimmie's offer to set her up with $500,000, but money in the bank isn't really her vibe. What she wants is the club itself, her own empire, her own income. Kimmie can't make that promise, but she agrees to bring it up with Horus. For now, Rain just wants a taste of freedom again. After being cooped up in the hospital for months, she's itching to go out clubbing. And even though she and Alex keep snapping at each other with little jabs, there are already sparks of that enemies to lovers trope brewing. Alex keeps insisting Kimmie and Rain can trust him. On the surface, he's pretending to still run errands for Jules, but his loyalty seems tied to Kimmie and Horus, at least for now. As Rain chases nightlife, Horus is struggling to find the right time to tell Kimmie that Angel is dead, especially with Kimmie and Sylvie, who's been researching cancer treatment, chatting so happily with him on the phone. He schedules a visit for the next morning, but it looks like he won't be the first to deliver the bad news. Alex's phone call with his partner, who works for Jules and carried out the hit on Angel, reveals that Horus ordered it. Rain overhears the whole thing, and we know her next call will be to Kimmie. But then comes another twist. Angel isn't dead after all. He makes it home and urges his baby mama to leave with him and their child, but she's too stubborn and calls the cops on him. While Angel is fighting to survive, Horus has his own family problem, knocking at his hospital door, Norman. His brother shows up with talk of reconciliation, saying their father always favored Horus and mistreated him, and that with Horus's health declining, it's time to bury the hatchet. For a moment, it almost feels genuine, and Norman nearly sells the act. But Horus isn't fooled. He fires back with receipts. Norman slept with his ex-wife, stole the company out from under him, and now runs the club with Jules, laundering money and forcing women into prostitution through fake debts. There's never going to be peace between them, Horus promises, and if it's the last thing he does, Norman is going to jail. Norman leaves the hospital and jumps straight into damage control mode. He meets with Jules to make sure there's no paper trail, then visits Judge Harold, who's been getting people released from jail for Norman and Jules to recruit for the club. Harold has already revealed everything to Horus, so Norman decides he can't be trusted. He goes to Harold's house for dinner, leaves a package behind, and the explosion kills Harold and his wife. News of the blast spreads fast, and Jules is furious at the way Norman handled it. To make things worse, the son of Delinda, the woman Kimmie killed last season, and the name the club is registered under, shows up wanting to sell the club. That's a nightmare for Norman and Jules, since they can't actually claim ownership without incriminating themselves. Rain doesn't waste time telling Kimmie that Horus is responsible for Angel's death. In a panic, Kimmie tries to escape with Rain and Sylvie, but she crashes the car. Horus, who had already spoken to Angel, is furious that Kimmie doesn't trust him after everything he's done for her. But once the anger cools, the two finally talk. Horus assures her that she, Rain, and Angel are untouchable now, covered in the will. The only weak spot left is Sylvie, and that makes her fair game. He urges Kimmie to send her away before the family can use her as leverage. Kimmie's always wanted Sylvie to get to college anyway, so maybe this is the time to push her into a safer life. The talk slides into business, and Horus is impressed. Kimmie knows her ball. She's always wanted to run a business, life just never gave her the chance. Until now. Mallory, meanwhile, drags Varney out on a date, feeling extra good now that she knows he didn't reject her because she wasn't enough, but simply because he doesn't like women. Their night takes a turn when they stumble on Olivia, who slid back into her alcoholic habits. They help her home, only for Olivia to hilariously try to seduce Varney, flopping harder with every attempt. Mallory has to step in and save him from the mess. Out of jealousy, Olivia calls Roy, swearing that Varney is having an affair with his wife. To shut her up, Roy eventually reveals Varney is gay. First thing Olivia does is call Charles to ask who is top or bottom. This family is unhinged. She can't fathom how a 6'5", dark-skinned manly man is gay. When Roy gets home, he makes a move on Mallory, who shuts him down as cruelly as possible. You know how harsh Mallory can be, so he heads to the club to find his own women, since the one Jules provided wasn't to his taste. Charles is also at the club, proving he's learned nothing from his last near-death experience. He takes a random guy home, unaware the man is just scouting the place to rob him later. The timing couldn't be wilder. Varney's there when they walk in, so it's unclear if he'll step in when the robbers arrive. Rain is focused on her own revenge. With Delinda and Body out of the picture, the only loose end left is Daga, the one who almost killed her with a botched BBL. She learns Daga is about to perform the same procedure on another stripper, so she pretends to be helping the girl, just to dig up the when and where. Sure enough, Daga shows up, posing as a nurse, and giving her usual pep talk before pumping nonsense into someone's body. But this time, Rain doesn't come alone. Alex is there too, ready to prove his loyalty once and for all by backing her up at the door. Daga gives Rain a serious whooping, but thankfully Alex is there to take her down. Rain doesn't allow Alex to get rid of the stripper, given she's just 18, and she's told to leave and never come back. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite them in the ass. Charles surprises everyone, including me, by holding his own when the armed robbers show up. This isn't the same carefree, partying guy we thought we knew. He fights them off, before pulling out his gun and putting an end to their nonsense. After the dust settles, he tries calling Varney and Roy for help. Varney, still mad, ignores the call. And Roy? The man is such a womanizer that he'd rather chat with the women he met at the club than answer his own brother's call. To make things even crazier, he wants Jules to get one of those women, Felicia, a job as his secretary, even though his wife Mallory works at the same company. Jules advises against it, but Roy doesn't care. The level of disrespect is off the charts. Life is looking good for Angel, who is still in awe of his new reality. Horace has to leave for his cancer treatment at the facility Sylvie found, but he's made sure to prepare Kimmie for this moment, teaching her everything she needs to know before he goes. No one knows if he'll make it back, but Kimmie hopes he does. The rest of the family is also worried, not out of love, but because it means Kimmie will be their boss forever. Angel even gets his own black card and access to any car in the garage. He immediately takes one for a spin, even though he's supposed to be watching Sylvie. Kimmie, on the other hand, arrives at the company looking sharp, making the family wait, just like Horace told her to. She's there to show them who's boss. Mallory expects her to be a pushover, but Kimmie isn't having it. She addresses the staff, and when Mallory suggests they go to the shareholders' meeting, Kimmie insists on seeing her office first, and Roy has to escort her. The man nearly bursts a vein from the humiliation, but what can he do? Queen moves only. While that's unfolding, Rain realizes Angel has gone shopping and left Sylvie alone. She heads to the stables and finds Sylvie with a so-called stable boy. The boy claims to be Jules' son, which is confusing since we thought Jules only had a daughter. Rain tries to pull him off Sylvie, and in the struggle, he falls from the balcony. After threatening Roy and making it clear she's coming for him, Kimmie gets a taste of how impatient the Bellarie family really is as they barge into her office one by one, desperate to start the meeting they're being forced to attend. Mallory is the first to test her, and Kimmie shuts her down spectacularly, jaw literally on the floor as Kimmie kicks her out. Next is Olivia, who storms in with threats about destroying the company if Kimmie ever disrespects her again. Only problem? That threat only works on someone who actually cares about the company's survival. Kimmie just laughs it off. Horace already gave her the playbook, and sure enough, they're acting it out, word for word. When Kimmie finally strolls into the meeting, she starts off with AirPods in, letting Horace guide her. But then she realizes leaning on him makes her look weak, so she ditches the lifeline and takes full control. And wow, she delivers. She lays out a whole plan to pull the company out of debt, moving from outdated offline ads to fresh online campaigns, cutting out dead weight, and more. Every attempt to interrupt, she smacks down with ease. And in the middle of it all, she exposes Olivia and Norman for siphoning money through fake LLCs. She wants Varney to confirm, but Olivia quickly reminds him that if he talks, she'll spill his secret. After absolutely flooring the Bellaries in the boardroom, it's time for the much-anticipated face-off between Kimmie and Jules. Despite her repeatedly reminding him she's Mrs. Bellarie, Jules keeps calling her by her first name, so Kimmie slaps him until he finally stops. She's ready to make him pay for everything he's done, but Jules threatens to expose all the Bellarie secrets and destroy the company. Again with the company threats. Like, hello? Kimmie does not care. He pivots to Delinda's death, but Kimmie calls his wife right in front of him, proving she can get to his family too. Jules flips into scary protective mode, promising to mess her up if anything happens to them. This is now super crazy, because we know Rain just killed his son. Kimmie arrives home on a high, only to find the shocking scene at the stables. Alex wants them to pretend the boy fell, but the timing is messy. Kimmie literally just threatened Jules' family. Now his son turns up dead on her property. Yeah, things just got real crazy. I don't know why, but I feel like Rain or Sylvie might not make it out of this alive. And across town, Charles is having his own nightmare. After trying and failing to get help with the bodies at his house, he decides to handle it himself. In the middle of it, Varney shows up, guilty after Charles genuinely told him the one time he needed him, he wasn't there. Varney is horrified at the sight, but before they can hash it out, more robbers burst in and attack them. Things are not looking good for Charles and Varney.